Hi there. It's June the 15th and we're continuing our journey through the first book of Kings with chapters 14 and 15. And in chapter 14 we really have the picture of the two divided sections of Israel, north and south. The north is ruled over by Jeroboam and the south is ruled over by Rehoboam. And in the north we find that Jeroboam's child has grown sick, and Jeroboam sends his wife in disguise to Achiah the Shilonite, the one who actually first told him that he was going to be king over the north. And because the child is sick, he wants to see whether the child will get well, so he sends his wife in disguise, going as another woman, but taking gifts to Achiah to ask her. Achiah, although he is old, immediately the woman comes in, and his sight is impaired. A woman comes in and he knows it's Jeroboam's wife, and he speaks a chilling word to her, not only about the fact that the child is going to die, but also that the house of Jeroboam is going to be removed and is going to be destroyed and is going to suffer terribly because of its unfaithfulness to God. Jeroboam reigns 22 years and he continues to allow the idolatry to go on, and God actually tells him through Achiah that it's because he's allowed this idolatry that he's going to fall. In the meantime, Rehoboam in the south is actually not doing much better. He has allowed high places, groves, Asherah. He's allowed the worship of other gods to infiltrate into Judah, even though it's the place where in Jerusalem there is a temple for the worship of God. And so during the reign of Rehoboam, King Shishak of Egypt comes against Judah and attacks Jerusalem and takes all the treasures of the temple. All of the silver and gold that has been put there by David and Solomon is taken away, and instead they have to replace it with brass things. So all of those riches are taken away. Now in chapter moving on, and there's continual war between Israel and Judah. Then continuing on to chapter 15, Rehoboam dies and is succeeded by son Aviam, and Aviam reigns for 3 years, but the nature of his reign is basically evil. He continues to do the things that Jeroboam has done. But it says that God stays his hand from punishing because of David, because of his promise to David, because he's remembering his faithfulness to David. So there's still this continuing war between Israel and Judah. It goes on right into the reign of the next king of Judah, who is Asa. And Asa, the nature of his reign is basically a good reign. He removes the high places, he removes the male prostitutes that have come connected to some of the pagan religions. He removes those, and he also removes his mother, the queen Maachah, from authority, because she's allowing idol worship to go on as well. Meanwhile, in the northern state, in Israel, Baasha has succeeded Jeroboam, who's now died, and Baasha again continues this war with Judah, but Asa fights back, and Asa calls on the king of Syria, Ben-Hadad, to an alliance with Judah, so that they have a pincer movement around Israel. And Ben-Hadad comes and he pushes back Ben-Hadad comes and pushes back Baasha, who is busy building Ramah, a city, and he pushes him back, and this allows Asa to come up and to grab the land, and he takes it for himself. So you can see there's a very unhappy political situation going on here. There are nations around them that are pressing in. They are really being pushed down a line of political alliances, which mean they're going to have to make concessions. And in fact, again, Asa gives to Ben-Hadad lots of gold and silver that comes out of the temple. He does the same thing. The temple stuff is constantly being used to appease enemies around them. But at the end of chapter 15 we read that Jehoshaphat, which means the Lord will judge, succeeds Asa in Judah, and that's where we leave the story for this time. One thing that comes out again in these chapters is the fact that God is showing faithfulness even though his people are being unfaithful to him. He shows his faithfulness for the sake, it says, of his servant David. It's amazing that God's faithfulness goes with us all through our brokenness and all through our foolishness. And we're going to see that again and again with Israel, that despite their foolishness and despite Judah's foolishness, God stays faithful. God will not renege on his covenant grace. Have a very good June the 15th.